you want to build a successful business, grab that job promotion, get passive source of income, but you feel like you don't have what it takes, and you credit any success you've ever had to luck, and you feel you can't take that leap of faith. Well, listen up. In today's video, I'm going to share with you the 7 secrets that helped me kill my imposter self. And these insights are not the obvious BS that you read everywhere. They are the very principles that allowed me to rise from a struggling solopreneur in one of the poorest countries in the world to becoming an international speaker, best-selling author, and mindset coach for business owners and sports champions. And I'm not going to flood you with an overwhelming list of tips. Instead, I'm going to reveal easy-to-implement strategies that you won't find anywhere else to liberate you from self-doubt and to empower you to achieve the success that you deserve. Now, this first piece of advice might shock you. Stop trying to overcome self-doubt. And I know your brain is going like, what? Right now? Let me explain. I remember when I was about to have my debut as a speaker in English. I was terrified because everything I had ever done, and I had a ton of experience, being on stage. I had even filled stadiums with people coming to see my talks, but everything had always been in Spanish. Now in English, nothing. So imagine my state of mind. I remember the night before my first event in English, I was so anxious, I was sweating all night, and at 3 a.m. in the morning, I sat in bed and I said out loud, I can't do this. My husband woke up and half asleep said, yes, you can. And I said, no, I can't. They won't like this. I feel like a total imposter. I might even have to cancel saying that I don't feel well, which is true, by the way, because I feel like throwing up right now. And I remember he said something that changed me completely. He said, Florencia, you've never done this before. It's only logical that you feel this way. And when he said that, something clicked with those words. I was not an imposter. I was just someone who was trying to do something new for the first time. So here's the first lesson that I want to share with you today. If you feel self-doubt because you're attempting to do something you've never done before, maybe it's building your first business, maybe it's making big money or public speaking, just remember, you don't have experience yet. So of course you will feel nervous, just like everybody does when they're doing something for the first time. So stop labeling this as imposter syndrome, because words have power. I instead want you to try this sentence swap. Instead of saying, I'm so bad at this, say, I still don't have enough experience doing this. Stop bringing yourself down with harsh words and focus on collecting proof in your favor by doing more of what scares you until you get good at it. In essence, outwork your self-doubt. Now, the number one thing people ask me is, Florencia, how do you get so much done? People are often surprised at how much I do every day because I do quite a lot. I run 2 businesses in 2 completely different markets. I write books. I go on speaking tours. I take care of my kids, and I'm a very present mother for them. And here's my answer. I am not super smart, but I'm great at buying time. What do I mean? Well, I know who to look for when I want to save time. I buy myself time by avoiding the most time-consuming part of my life, which is making a ton of mistakes. I have always tried to save myself time and pain by learning from the mistakes that other people made. And that's why from early on, I decided to invest almost everything I was earning in educating myself. How? Finding the best mentor that I could get at each stage. But I wasn't always like this. Many years ago when I was first starting to create online courses, I would spend entire days Googling and following people online and trying to copy what they were doing, but it was exhausting. The hit and miss approach, the infamous throw spaghetti to the wall, see what it sticks. And then when I became a mother, I realized I had no time to waste. And so I soon figured out that I could buy time by learning from the best people out there. They had made all the mistakes, so I wouldn't have to. Not only did getting mentors save me a ton of time, it made me feel a lot more confident, because the more knowledgeable you become, the more strong you feel. And you might wonder, and this stops when? I would say this goes on till forever. I worked myself up from learning free stuff online to eventually getting mentored by the best in the industry. People like Jack Canfield, Marie Diamond, Lisa Nichols mentored me on my coaching abilities, and today we share the stage as speakers. People like Vishen Lakhiani mentored me on online course creation, and today we're partners. So I assure you that getting mentors is the fastest way to multiply your knowledge very fast. And I know if you're here, you're a smart person. Just think of everything you have learned until now using just one brain. Getting a mentor is getting an extra brain. Remember this, before entering a season of earning, you need to go through a season of learning. So start where you are with what you got, but always aim to get better every day. Now this next tip is something that you have heard before, but you never acted on it. And this is undoubtedly the #1 thing that got me from being a first-time entrepreneur with no business education to building 2 7-figure businesses from my home. Now here's a quick quiz for you. What are the 2 most powerful words according to research? Take a guess. The 2 most powerful words are I am, because whatever you put right after those words shapes your reality. You see, whenever you say I am, your subconscious mind takes that as a command. We all know this, right? But study after study shows that we don't practice it. Even worse, we do the complete opposite. Now picture this. Do you know how many thoughts we have per day? Around 60,000. And do you know how many of those are negative? Around 80%. And here's a scary one. Do you know how many of those negative thoughts are about ourselves? Most of them. Research shows that up to 80% of our self-talk is negative. And in case you're now thinking, oh, here she comes now with all this positive crap about be positive, be positive. Listen, positive self-talk is not an airy-fairy feel-good BS that doesn't really change anything. No. Positive self-talk is the fastest way to create a self-fulfilling prophecy on a neurobiological level. Why? Because positive words trigger your brain to release chemicals that make you feel good. Now, the brain mechanism is quite complex, but the explanation is simple. You say positive things to yourself, your brain immediately starts releasing feel-good chemicals, which not only make you feel good, they make you perform much better. And you might be thinking, Florencia, this is a lot easier said than done. I know. And that's why I developed a technique to help you with this. You see, I have coached some of the most famous athletes on the planet, and this is a technique that I teach them. The next time you catch yourself thinking something negative about yourself, ask yourself the following question. Does this thought serve me? Let's say, for example, you're thinking, I'm not good with money, I'm not good with time, I'm lazy. Does it serve you? Now, if the answer is no, stop. Ban that thought. Do not allow it anymore. Replace it using the power of I am in your favor. Try saying something like, I am learning how to make money. I am learning how to manage my time. Beware of your I ams because they shape your reality. Now, this next item goes against everything you hear out there because everyone tells you to be ambitious, to shoot for the stars, to push yourself to accomplish the impossible. Now, there's a problem with that. You see, when you're so focused on the big goals, they become your standard for success. Now, the problem is that they take time to achieve. So, on a day-to-day basis, while you're heading towards those big goals, you might feel like a failure. Now, that doesn't mean you won't have big dreams. I'm all about big dreams, or that you have to conform to less. No. You will have your big goal in mind, but instead of just being happy when you reach the big dream, you must celebrate every small win that gets you there. You see, the truth is, if you're not able to celebrate the small steps to reach your big goal, you may never reach it, because celebrating the small steps gives you the energy to keep going. And not only that, eventually it will rewire your brain to naturally focus on the positives. And when you focus on the positives, success becomes a lot easier. Okay, but you might be thinking, okay, now how can I focus on the positives to get more of the good things, more of the good stuff in my life? Well, this is how I do it. For example, every Friday I get together with my team and we dedicate 1 full hour to celebrate the wins of the week. This might seem like a small thing, but it completely changed my company for the better. You see, in the past we would use Fridays as our planning day for the week ahead, but now Happy Friday, because that's how we call our ritual, has become the favorite part of the week for every team member. And it has skyrocketed not only the motivation, but also our productivity. And now, you don't need a team to do this. Just take a moment each Friday to reflect on the wins of the week and write them down. You know, if you write them down, they will fuel your productivity and your motivation. Now, the next tip I'm going to give you is the secret behind every one of humanity's big inventions: embracing failure. The lamp, the telephone, the landing on the moon, none of this would exist if people weren't willing to fail. In fact, every person you admire today has a graveyard of failures behind them. And hey, I'm with you. Failing sucks. It does not feel good at all. But the thing is that we have become so addicted to feeling good that we don't realize that sometimes feeling bad is not a negative thing. For example, you go work out, your muscle hurts because you're pushing it. It feels bad in the moment, but you also know that that is what is making your muscle grow. And also, the truth is that most people are more scared of looking dumb than failing. But in reality, people don't really care about your failures. They're not paying that much attention to you anyway. So, how can you really get value from your failures? Here's an experiment that I would like you to try. I have discovered this about 3 years ago or so, and I discovered it completely by chance. And it might sound ridiculous, but it works. You see, one day I got very upset, very angry because I made a very stupid mistake. I signed a contract without really reading it. You know, I was too lazy to read the small letters, and so I signed it and I got myself into quite a mess. So that day I remember I ripped off a page of my notebook and I wrote in capital letters, "This is what I learned about signing contracts." and I wrote a few things explaining the situation. And then I threw the paper and it flew off and it landed on an empty black box that I had there right by my desk. And it stayed there. The following day I walked into the office. I was already in a much better mood. I saw the paper in the box and I thought, hey, that kind of reminds me of the black box in airplanes, that it stores valuable information. And I thought, you know what, this is cool. What if I do this with every mistake I make? And so my black box was born. Now, every time I make a mistake, you know what I do? I write down what I learned from it, and I keep it in my black box. And every now and then I go through the notes, and they're quite eye-opening. So try this at home. See the lessons in your mistakes. And if you start your own black box, please let me know. Now, this next tip is something that should be obvious, but somehow it isn't. You know, humans are funny creatures. We know perfection does not exist, but still we try to achieve it, and then we become our own worst critics because we cannot do something that doesn't really exist. Picture this. You go to the gym, you come back home, you look at yourself in the mirror, and what do you see? Nothing. Nothing has changed. So the next day, you go to the gym, you come back home, you look in the mirror, and now do you see new muscles? No. But you wouldn't measure your success that way, would you? Well, let me tell you that I have seen that very often. I have heard so many entrepreneurs tell me, I'm so frustrated, my business is not working. And so I ask them, how long have you been doing this for? And they go, 6 months. I go, well, that's not really how you should be measuring, you know. Instead of focusing on the immediate output, aka the results, you should focus on the immediate input, what you put in. That is the real driver of results, the ability to stay focused, even when you don't have the results yet. And it's just like the gym, you know, if you keep going and even on day 1, 2, 3, or 30, you don't see results, but you keep going, you will eventually get there. But I know that this is hard to put into practice, and that's why you need to hack your brain. And I will show you exactly how you can do that. You can create a growth wall or a progress wall where you display visual representations of your progress, this could be charts or graphs or like even simple check marks, you know. Visual reminders of your progress can provide an extra dose of motivation during challenging times. Now, before we go to our last tip, did you find any of the tips in this video helpful? If so, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. That way you will always know when I have a fresh video with my best life experiences and tactics to help you succeed in business and in life. So with no further ado, tip number 7. And this next tip is the most underrated of all because we live in a world where everyone tells you to keep doing more and more. And when we don't do that, we feel like imposters. Now you see, the thing is that this is like an endless hole. There's always more to do, and if that becomes your standard of success, you are on a fast track to a burnout. So what you should do instead is prioritize your well-being. And I know what you're thinking right now. First off, Florencia, what exactly does this have to do with killing my imposter self? Because that's the title of the video, you know, and I'm here for that. Well, hear me out. Your imposter self usually only feels good when you're working, but that is a trap. So you need to start training that part of yourself to start seeing leisure activities like painting or writing or walking or playing an instrument as an essential part of not only your well-being, but of being productive. You know, your self-worth will stop being attached only to work. And I know you might be thinking, well, yeah, it sounds very good, Florencia, but you know what? I don't really have much time for all these activities you're seeing, and it's really time-consuming. Listen, short bursts of physical activity, like a 5-minute dance session in your living room when no one is watching, or a brief walk outside, are enough to trigger the release of endorphins. So you will instantly feel that your mood gets boosted and your productivity too. And the key to making this doable in your day-to-day is to find micro moments of self-care into your daily routine. You know, you can set a timer, you can use a mobile app to remind you, hey, it's a moment to take a short break. And so you go for a walk, or you go and meditate for a few minutes, or you simply enjoy a favorite snack. Time bends priorities, so make yourself a priority because that's the ultimate way to kill your imposter self. Now, if you're watching this video, you're already in the top 1% people who are willing to take control of their lives. And before you go, I want to invite you to go deeper into your mindset. Mindset work was an absolute changer for me. And that's why in this next video, I will teach you the mindset secrets that the best performers in the world use to achieve their big, bold dreams. And you can use them too. See you there.